He killed approximately 40 million people, a figure equivalent to 11% of the global population at the time. He reduced global carbon emissions by 700 million tons because he killed enough people to allow vast tracts of farmland to revert to forest. He is the only person in human history to have achieved quantifiable environmental benefits through mass slaughter. At the same time, however, he established the first international postal system in human history. During the era of the Crusades, he enacted laws guaranteeing religious freedom. He abolished the hereditary privileges and replaced them with a merit-based selection system. Furthermore, according to a 2003 genetic study, 1 in every 200 men on Earth today is his direct descendant, 16 million people. He was the most successful serial killer and the most successful father in human history, the same person. Both of these facts hold true. If you think you know Genghis Khan, you don't. What you know is a caricature of him simplified into the Mongol tyrant. The real him was 10,000 times more extraordinary than that caricature. He wasn't born Genghis Khan. His name was Temujin, meaning blacksmith or iron. He was given this name because his father, Yesugei, had just killed an enemy named Temujin on the day of his birth, so he named the newborn after the dead man. On the Mongolian steppe, naming your son after someone you've killed isn't a curse, it's a boast. It's your first welcome ceremony into the world. Your name is the recycling of a corpse. Temujin's mother, Hoylan, had an unusual background as well. She had originally been married to a warrior from another tribe. On her way to her groom's home, Yesugei happened to pass by, saw her, found her beautiful, and, along with his brothers, abducted her. On the Mongolian steppe of the 12th century, this wasn't a crime. It was one of the ways to propose. Your mother was snatched from another man by your father. Your very existence stems from a kidnapping. The genes of this family have been steeped in violence and improvisation from day one. When Temujin was 9, his father took him to his future father-in-law's home to arrange the engagement. On the way back, Yasugei encountered a group of Tatars. They invited him to a meal, which he accepted. The food was poisoned, and Yasugei died as soon as he returned home. A tribal chieftain dying for a free meal, this was likely the most costly free meal in human history. After his father's death, everything collapsed. Yasugei's tribe refused to continue supporting his widow and children. Genghis Khan's family was abandoned by the entire tribe. A widow with 7 children was left to fend for herself on the Mongolian steppe. They ate wild vegetables, dug up grass roots, caught marmots, and scavenged animal carcasses by the roadside. Genghis Khan went from being the son of a chieftain to a vagabond rummaging through trash in the wilderness. This fall from grace took less than a month. Then he did something, an act that would define every subsequent action of his life. He killed his own brother. Here's what happened. When Temujin was about 13 or 14, he caught a fish and brought it home. His half-brother Bektar snatched the fish away and kept it all for himself. Temujin grabbed a bow, tracked Bektar down when he was alone, and shot him dead with an arrow. He had killed his own kin over a single fish. When his mother found out, she scolded him. Translated from the original text, it roughly means, "You have no friends but your shadow, no whip but your tail," meaning you don't even have a single ally, yet you've already started killing your own kin. But she did not punish him, because on the steppe, the ability to kill proves your ability to survive, and survival is the only moral code. From this act of killing, he learned a lesson he would never forget. If you do not control resources, others will control them. A fish is a resource, so is an empire. At the age of 16, Temujin married a woman named Berte. They truly loved each other, but shortly after their marriage, a group of Merkit raiders attacked Temujin's camp, abducted Berte, and presented her to their chieftain. She was held captive there for about 9 months. When she was rescued, she was already pregnant. That child later became Jochi. Temujin did not reject this child. He acknowledged him, Jochi, as his own son, granting him a fiefdom and an army. Jochi's descendants established the Golden Horde, ruling over Russia and Eastern Europe for centuries. A child who may not have been his biological son received the largest portion of the empire. Genghis Khan's logic was never about bloodlines, but about practicality. In his early 20s, Genghis Khan set out to do something no one had ever done before: unify all the nomadic tribes of the Mongolian steppe. The relationship between these tribes could be summed up in a single sentence: they did nothing but fight. The Mongols fought the Tatars fought the Merkits fought the Karaites, and the Karaites fought the Naimans. Everyone fought everyone else. This went on for centuries, and no one had ever thought to bring them together because it was like trying to stuff a bunch of drunken cats into a sack. Temujin's method was to first befriend them, then stab them in the back, and finally rule over their people. He first allied with his childhood friend Jamuka, then with To'olun Khan of the Karaite tribe. Using their combined strength, he defeated the Merkit and rescued his wife. Then, he turned on Jamuka, fought a battle, lost, and was forced into exile. He may even have been held captive by the Jin dynasty for several years. But he survived, regrouped his forces, defeated Turul, defeated the Naiman, and executed Jamuka. By 1206, there was only one voice left across the Mongolian steppe, his. At the Kurultai of 1206, the leaders of all Mongol tribes acknowledged him as the ruler of all Mongolia. He was given a new name, Genghis Khan, the meaning of which remains disputed to this day. It may mean ocean or strong, but in context is usually translated as ruler of the world. A man who lost his father at 9, killed his brother at 13, lost his wife at 16, and was hunted across the world in his 20s, became the master of all Mongolia at the age of 44. He ruled over roughly 1 million people, a number that may not seem large, but with this force, he would go on to conquer over 100 million. He first attacked the Jin dynasty, an empire ruling over 53 million people. The Mongols numbered only 1 million. Pitting 1 million against 53 million isn't bravery, it's a mathematical error. Yet he won, because his military strategy was centuries ahead of any opponents. The mobility of the Mongol cavalry was unmatched in the world at that time. Each soldier had 3 to 5 horses, which they rode in rotation, allowing them to march continuously for days without rest. His messenger system, known as Janshi, the first international postal network in human history, messengers could cover 200 miles a day, delivering messages faster than any rival. In a world without telegraphs or telephones, speed of information was a military advantage. He won wars with express delivery. Then, he turned westward toward the Khwarezmian Empire, present-day Iran, and Central Asia. The conflict arose when a local governor in Khwarezm killed a Mongol merchant caravan and stole their goods. Genghis Khan first sent envoys to demand compensation. The Khwarezmian Sultan killed the envoys and sent back 2 others with their beards shaved off. In Mongol culture, killing envoys was an insult to the entire nation. Shaving their beards was an even greater insult. Genghis Khan assembled an army of approximately 100,000 to 200,000 cavalrymen and launched the most devastating military retaliation in the medieval world. What followed took centuries for the continent to recover from. The Mongol army systematically destroyed every major city of the Khwarezmian Empire. Cities that refused to surrender were razed. Their entire populations were slaughtered. Records indicate that after the fall of Nishapur, the Mongol army beheaded everyone and piled the heads into 3 pyramids, one for men, one for women, and one for children. Historians estimate that at the time may have been reduced by 3/4. In some regions, irrigation systems were completely destroyed, turning agricultural areas that had flourished for millennia into permanent deserts that had not recovered even 7 centuries later. Yet, there is one fact that puts all simplistic narratives to shame. While these massacres were taking place, Genghis Khan implemented some remarkably progressive measures within his empire. He promulgated the Mongol Empire's first written legal code, known as the Yasa, which guaranteed religious freedom. In the 13th century, while the Catholic Church in Europe was burning heretics at the stake, Genghis Khan's laws allowed people to worship any god they chose and exempted them from taxes. He abolished the hereditary privileges of the nobility. Officials were selected based on merit rather than lineage. He prohibited the abduction of women and the sale of married women, and established a social welfare system for orphans and widows. He encouraged trade and protected trade routes, ensuring that the Silk Road reached its safest and busiest state in history during the Mongol Empire. So who was he? Really? A genocidal mass murderer who slaughtered 11% of the world's population? Or a reformer who established religious freedom and merit-based selection in the Middle Ages? The answer is both, the same person at the same time. This is why history is not a movie where good guys and bad guys wear different colored costumes. In history, the same man wears the same blood-stained fur robe, with one hand signing a decree of religious freedom, and with the other ordering the inhabitants of a city divided into three piles by age. In 1227, Genghis Khan died during a military campaign against the Western Sia. The cause of his death remains uncertain to this day. Some say he was injured after falling from his horse. Others say he fell ill. One legend claims he was assassinated by a Western Sia princess with a concealed dagger. No one knows which account is true, but everyone knows what happened next. His body was sent back to Mongolia and buried in an unmarked grave. All the soldiers who participated in the burial were on their way back to camp. A herd of horses was sent to trample the burial site back and forth until the ground showed no signs of digging. Then they let a herd of horses graze on that patch of land. Once the grass had grown back, no one could locate the spot. To this day, nearly 800 years have passed, and no one has ever found Genghis Khan's tomb, not even a single reliable clue. The body of one of the most powerful figures in human history has vanished into the Mongolian steppe, beneath some unknown hill, along with his secrets, but he did not truly vanish. In 2003, a study published in a prestigious genetics journal revealed that approximately 16 million men worldwide carry an almost identical Y chromosome sequence. This sequence traces back to the Mongolian region roughly 1,000 years ago, the very time and place where Genghis Khan lived. This means that 1 in every 200 men in the world is his direct descendant. He killed 40 million people, yet his genes live on in the bodies of 16 million. He wiped out part of humanity with swords, then replenished it with his own DNA. No other figure in history has ever accomplished both of these feats. As for his appearance, not a single contemporary portrait of him has survived. We have absolutely no idea what he looked like. All the images of Genghis Khan you see online are the imaginings of later generations. The only description that comes close comes from the 14th century Persian historian Rashid al-Din, who said Genghis Khan had red hair and green eyes. This claim cannot be verified, as Rashid al-Din himself never met him. However, these features do exist among the Mongolian people, so the image of Genghis Khan in your mind, a dark, dark-eyed, standard Asian-looking Genghis Khan in your mind, is very likely completely wrong. One of the most famous conquerors in human history, we don't even know what he looked like. His face, like his tomb, remains a mystery. The Mongol Empire continued to expand after his death. His sons and grandsons pushed its borders as far as Poland, Vietnam, Syria, and Korea. At its peak, the Mongol Empire controlled approximately 23 million square kilometers of territory, roughly equivalent to the entire landmass of Africa. It was the largest contiguous land empire in human history, founded by a 9-year-old orphan who lost his father and survived by scavenging corpses in the wilderness. The gap between what humanity is capable of and what it will achieve has never been as short as it was in the case of Genghis Khan. You know the name Genghis Khan, but what you don't know is that behind that name stands a boy who began his career by killing his own brothers, a husband who accepted and raised a child conceived by his wife with an enemy, even granting the child a fiefdom, a military genius who won wars using a courier system, a legislator who drafted laws on religious freedom between the burning of cities, a biological miracle who killed 40 million people yet passed on his DNA to 16 million descendants. He is not the simplified caricature you read about in textbooks. He was the most extreme contradiction that human civilization could produce, and his tomb still plays hide and seek with the world to this day. There is a word in Mongolian called eternal sky. Temujin believed his entire life that his power came from there, from that eternal blue sky above. On the day he died, that sky remained. Every day, 16 million people carrying his genes look up and see the same sky. They do not know they are related to him, but heaven knows.